So it's a long Easter weekend, and so I thought for today we'd do something really special. So today we'll be cooking a cabrito assado, which is a Portuguese roasted kid leg. Easter in Portugal is kind of a big deal, and it's a time where families get together and just spend some quality time together and share a meal. And this dish is one of the most traditionals to have around this time. You may be wondering, why a Portuguese dish? Well, you see, Portugal holds a tremendously special place in my heart. I moved to Portugal when I was about 14 years old, and I lived there until I moved off to go to university. Portugal became my home away from home, and the friends I made there are now just an extension of my family. To this day, I make an escape to Portugal whenever I can, and I go at least a few times a year. I mean, before the whole pandemic thing, obviously. I've eaten this dish a bunch of times before, but I've never actually made it myself. So I called my good friend and fantastic chef, Geronimo, and he sent me through the recipe. So chef, if you're watching this, I hope to make you proud. So I actually struggled a little bit to find kid leg, and depending where you live, if lamb is more common, you might struggle. You can definitely make this with lamb meat instead of kid meat, but I actually prefer kid meat. It's a little bit leaner and it's a little bit less gamey. If you live in the UK, I found a really cool company that sells kid meat all across the UK. I'll leave a link below if you're in the UK and you're interested. We'll prep this dish in 3 stages. First, we'll brine the meat for about 12 hours. Once the brining is over, we'll marinate the meat for a couple of hours. And finally, we'll stick this in the oven and roast for 2 hours. The entire recipe will be available in the description below. I've now rambled for a little bit, let's just do this.
So for our brine, we'll start off with 2 liters of water, 60 grams of salt. We're also gonna add a lemon. We'll add half an onion. I just cut it in quarters. We'll add 3 or 4 garlic cloves. And these you can just smash and just... We'll add a couple of bay leaves. We'll add a bunch of parsley. We'll add a couple of black peppercorns. And finally, a half liter of white wine. And now we'll add our kid leg. So we can just add this right in. Now ideally the container would be slightly smaller and the whole thing would be submerged. No problem, what I'll do is I'll just turn this every couple of hours, but if you have a container at home that helps this be completely submerged, that's definitely better. Now I'm gonna cover this in plastic wrap, which is really hard to do when one of your fingers is messed up. Now I'm gonna stick this in the fridge for 12 hours. I'll turn it every couple of hours just to make sure that all the surfaces are kind of covered. But hopefully if you have a better container than me, you'll be able to kind of just leave it in the fridge and not having to move it too much. So that's it for the brining. I'll see you in 12 hours. So this now has been brining in the fridge for about 12 hours. And so what I'll do now is I'll take it out of here, I'll pat it dry, we'll get rid of the brine, we'll marinate it and then leave it in that marinade for about 2 hours before we stick this in the oven. So we can just head and just pat this dry with a paper towel. Now for the marinade, we'll start with 1 whole onion. Now you don't need to chop this super fine. Just strips like that will be just fine. Next we'll do 4 cloves of garlic. Add a nice drizzle of olive oil. And just make sure you rub that in. Do this on both sides. Now we'll add some salt. Some black pepper. About a teaspoon of sweet paprika. And about a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. Now you want to make sure you kind of massage this all over the entire leg. Now to this we'll add 500 mils of white wine. Now I just realized that actually I didn't add all the paprika I was supposed to, so here's some more for good measure. Now we'll just add a bunch of parsley. A little bit more olive oil. Now just get in there and give this all a good rub and a good mix. Now we'll just let this sit and marinate for a good 2 hours. In this case, I'm gonna turn it occasionally and kind of baste it occasionally with the marinade. And in that time, just make sure you preheat your oven. So this has now been marinating for a good 2 hours. I turned it every now and then just to make sure that we got full coverage on both sides. What I did as well on the side really quickly, I just boiled a few potatoes just to roast this all together. We'll now stick this in an oven at 140 degrees for an hour, and we'll turn it once we reach half an hour. After that initial hour, we'll up the heat up to 180 degrees, and we'll cook it for another hour. Again, we'll flip it every 30 minutes.
Okay, maybe just a little taste. Yeah, that's good stuff. Maybe just a little. Yeah, you need to make this. Thanks for watching. I hope you give this a try. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And whether you celebrate Easter or not, I hope you enjoy the long weekend and you get to spend some time with your loved ones. Because ultimately, that's what it's all about. I'll see you next time.